The two go in again. Tyson Fury in against Oleksandr Usyk. Barry McGuigan with us, as I say. Barry, what do you make of this? Yesterday, in the open workout, Tyson Fury came out, got into the ring, whole bunch of people there. Of course, it's quite a large audience. Jumped up and down, walked into the middle of the ring, saluted everyone, took his gloves off, and left. It was a 35-second open workout.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Jim, he's playing mind games with Usyk, and he thinks that it's going to affect him, and it's not. That's the thing. This Usyk guy has done everything. He won the Super Series at cruiserweight. He won Olympic gold. He won everything. He won World Championship as an amateur. He's just a machine, and he's a psychological machine too. He just gets into that headspace, and none of the stuff that Tyson tried in the last fight was able to affect him, and neither will it affect him this time. Now, I agree with Simon that if he gets hit to the body, Usyk, he can be hurt, as we saw against Dubois, and he was genuinely badly hurt in that fight. But Tyson isn't the puncher Dubois is. He's also much taller, and it's harder to hit a guy like that to the body. It's hard to hit him in any case, with any shot, but it's hard to hit him with a body shot. But that is the one shot that can really hurt Usyk.
Yeah.
The right uppercut to the body. Simon sort of nailed it with that, and that is genuinely a risk for Usyk. But I think Usyk is just going to be too clever. He'll have the psychological edge from the last fight, and I just think he overwhelms him and he stops him in the last third of the fight.
I mean, Simon, you are such a student of the fight game.
An admirer of it, yeah.
And an admirer of it. Do you expect any different an approach from either fighter going into this? Something that we didn't expect to happen ends up happening in terms of approach?
Well, it depends how the fight plays out. I think Usyk has the ability to be very adaptable. And so I think he's the more adaptable fighter. Now, Fury, once upon a time I would have suggested, was certainly in that category. The interesting thing about mind games is I think even Usyk's got involved in that. To go into a press conference where they both basically said nothing at the Oxford Union, and Usyk brings out a picture for Fury to sign of the last fight where Usyk was bashing him up, I think is an interesting dynamic of how Usyk thinks. And of course, the mind game side of things also. When you see Oleksandr Usyk being given a letter by a Ukrainian soldier from the front line telling him what his continued success as the world heavyweight champion means to someone, that's an extra layer that you've got to lay on top of the mindset of this particular fighter. I agree with Barry. He's a unique specimen. I remember speaking to Anthony Joshua's camp about when they saw Usyk beat Joshua in the first fight. The next morning they wandered through the hotel and he's been in the gym the next morning doing about 2 hours in the swimming pool because he lives his life around the sport that he does, and that's the advantage he has.
That's exactly the point I'm making. You know, I've been in this game a long time, and I see guys that are athletes, and I see guys, for example, Hatton was an incredible athlete, could have been champion if he'd have stayed. If he'd have stayed fit and between fights, he said he blew up and he put on 4 stone, and he'd have to lose all that weight, and then you lose the.
But he did have the tragedy of actually having to fight Floyd Mayweather and
of
Pacquiao
course,
as well.
I agree. Two great fighters, but still, I still think he could have got more out of himself. And if it's a business, it's an athletic endeavour that takes more out of you than most athletic endeavours. Yeah, and therefore, to be in the very best physical condition gives you an edge. And that's the point I'm making.
Barry, no name on this message. It's unfortunate. It's a good one. The first fight was so close, and Tyson had Usyk in big trouble between rounds 4 and 6. And then we saw some silly showboating, which cost him.
Mm-hmm. You see, I don't believe that, Jim. I know he was on top for a number of rounds. He had successes in different rounds, but in general, I thought Usyk was dominant the whole way through the fight. It was a close fight. I couldn't believe how close it was. I thought he won it. I thought Usyk won it by about 4 rounds. They had it, I can't remember the points, but it was close. It was
114,
like
113, wasn't it?
It was too close for my.
But Barry, even over in Riyadh this week, Fury's saying, I need to be more focused this time and not showboating as much. So he recognises the fact that he was up to a few antics in the first one that he shouldn't have bothered with, and he should have been more focused in getting Usyk out of there.
At the end of the day, these guys know each other intimately. They know each other inside out. Even though they've only fought once, they fought 12 rounds, and that 12 rounds, you search people psychologically, physiologically, like you can't do it in any other sport. And I just think that this guy, Usyk, is an exceptional fighter. He's a machine. He's an athlete. He trains religiously. He's in incredible condition. And he's a bunch of tricks. He's southpaw, fights with out of a southpaw position, and he's very difficult to nail properly. And I just think...
But do you think Fury can drag him into the sort of fight that Derek Chisora dragged him into?
I don't believe that is Tyson's way of fighting. That's the thing. He can't reinvent himself. Yeah. And, I just think once it's let me tell you something. The most important thing about boxing, if you put a psychological dent in somebody, it's nigh on impossible to take that away. And I think for that reason, you've got to make Usyk a clear favourite.
Well, let me put this to you, Barry. Does the best version of Tyson Fury beat the best version of Oleksandr Usyk?
No. Absolutely not. I think Usyk is one of the best of all time. I think he's one of the best of all time at cruiserweight, and he's certainly one of the better heavyweights we've had in a long, long time. I think he's so diversifiable. He can fight every which way but loose. He's really, really tough. He's in great condition. He can bang, and he's fast. The holy grail in boxing is speed. If you can outspeed somebody, that just takes the edge of everything. If you're quicker than your opponent, it's like such a huge advantage. When you can see things coming, you can make
Doesn't timing
movement.
suit? I mean, I'm not...
timing
Kelbrook gave me a real admonishing about the fight with Khan. I said, well, speed kills, and he said timing's better.
No, timing is very important, but Usyk has timing. Usyk has timing, and he's got speed. Yeah. And when you have both of those, advantages, he's got the advantage in speed. He's a much more all-round fighter. He's an athlete. That's the difference. And in fights like this, in fights where it comes down to very minuscule amounts of margins, that counts.
Daniel Dubois, we like him. We like him immensely.
He's
what's he capable of, really, in the fullness of time?
He's incredibly strong, powerful, good boxing brain.
Does he beat Parker?
He knocked Parker out because Parker is at the end of the road. He was noted for durability and everything else, but like everything else, the wear and tear happens over the years and the fights. He'll put up a fight and he'll make it difficult for about 5-6 rounds, then Dubois will start to really hurt him. So I fancy him getting him out of there last third of the fight.
We'll finish on Fury Usyk in a second, but here's the thing: boxing, from the Smith family to the Furies to the Eubanks to the McGuigans, why do so many families in boxing flourish? And you do. There's yourself and Shane.
Yes.
How many world champions has he?
He's produced 9 world champions. He's only 36 years old, but he's helped very well by his brother Jake and his brother Blaine, who work with him, and they're like boxing encyclopedias. So we match the fighters well, we train them and get them into the best shape we can get, and Dad sits in the background and I'm brought in from time to time, but I'm controlled these days. Dad, shut up, just sit there and keep quiet. And I do what I'm told.
Get in the jungle.
Are you
Get in the jungle.
Get in the jungle. Are you proud when you look into a corner?
Yeah, immensely proud of them.
And you see him doing his work.
They're really great at what they do. They're lovely boys. They're hard work. They work ridiculously hard, and he's really skillful, Shane, at coaching, and the boys are great at understanding and matchmaking, and that's the trick.
And one of Shane's fighters, he trains Chris Billum Smith.
Yeah.
And of course we know what happened. He lost his cruiserweight title to Gilberto Ramirez. Yeah. Did you know that? Were you in the jungle at the time?
I was in the jungle. They wouldn't tell me.
They wouldn't tell you?
And I said, what have I got to do if you know? And I can't tell you. I said, why can't you tell me? I want to know. Maybe it was because he'd lost that they didn't want to tell me, but after about 10 days...
who else were you going to tell?
Exactly.
What difference about Timmy Mallet or somebody?
After about 10 days, I won one of the trials, and they told me there was sports. You have a sports question. You can ask the results of certain sports questions, and of course, Alan Halsell is a Man United fan, so he wanted to know the results. So they told us the result of the United and the result of Chris Billum Smith's fight. Yeah,
but disappointment for Billum
very
Smith.
sad that he lost. But Ramirez is a great fighter, and Billum Smith is an exceptional talent, and I think he'll come back. He'll come back. He's the most dedicated, hard-working guy that I've ever seen. He's such a great example for the club. He's not called a gentleman for nothing, and he's just a great servant of the sport, and Shane and him have worked ridiculously hard together. And I said he was multi-talented, but he never won a national title as an amateur, but he's done amazing things as a pro. And we'll have to make a decision on what he's going to do. We'd love to get him another title fight, and then think about when he should bow out.
Do you think this is just a blip in the road for Chris, Simon?
I think it's a difficult one for him. But he's achieved things that people didn't think he could achieve. I didn't think he'd beat Riakporhe, and he did. I didn't think he'd beat Okoli, and he did. I thought he'd beat Masternak, and he struggled in that fight. There's opportunities still for him. There's another fighter like Noel McCallion that they can potentially make a fight with and get another world title shot in that respect and come back round again and maybe end up in a payday with Jay Opateo again. Yep. He's got to come again, isn't he? I mean, I think he's a lovely lad, and I want the best for him. And I think that Barry and Shane will guide him in the best way that they know how.
And keep your eye on Caroline Dubois. She's the best fighter in the Dubois family, by the way. And that's how good she is. And Ellie Scott, and he's defending her title soon. And Adam Azim. Don't forget Adam Azim. He's a very special young man with a bright future.
Saturday night, Riyadh, you cannot see anything other than Usyk.
I think Usyk wins again, and this time I think he stops him in the last third of the fight. Last 8, 9 or 10 rounds, I think he stops him. He got through it the last time with the help of Mark Ramsey, the referee. Don't think he does it this time. I think Usyk wins. I just think he's a more complete fighter. He's exceptional.
We bow to your knowledge, Barry. If that was to happen, would that be the end for Tyson?
Tyson doesn't need to fight anymore, and maybe that was the problem in the first fight. You know, you lose your appetite for the game when you have earned, like, whatever it is, hundreds of millions of pounds. It's hard to retain your enthusiasm and the wanting to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's windy and cold outside.
But he's a fighting man.
But I just don't know that he has the same appetite that he used to have. I love it. I say that again. Do that.
But he's a fighting man.
you gotta growl more.
Love it. Barry, brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Barry McGuigan with us live this lunchtime. So as tomorrow looms, I'm going to go out there and I shall fly back through the night.
Look forward to it.
On Sunday.
We'll be looking for you.
You'll be looking
on
for me on your
There he is.
radar.
The gormless one over there. Yeah.
That'll be me.
Doesn't know what a jab is. Thinks it's an injection.
Correct.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.